Oprah Winfrey had visited countless stores in her life, many of them renowned for their exclusivity and high-end offerings. But none of those experiences compared to what awaited her in the prestigious luxury boutique nestled in the heart of New York City. She had heard about it from other celebrities, seen it in magazine spreads, and admired it from afar. The store boasted the kind of reputation that promised opulence, perfection, and the best of the best. As she entered the sleek, polished space, the familiar hum of bustling energy filled the air. The store was alive with excitement, but there was something oddly unsettling about the atmosphere. There were no eager eyes scanning her, no quick gestures from the staff. She was used to being recognized, especially in spaces like this. After all, Oprah was a name that carried weight, a presence that didn't need an introduction. But as she glanced around, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. It was almost as if no one could see her. No one came to greet her or offer assistance. The usual compliments and offers of, "Can I help you with anything, ma'am?" were nowhere to be heard. Oprah moved deeper into the store, casually browsing the lavish displays, but her instincts told her this wouldn't be an ordinary shopping experience. She paused in front of a display case filled with rare vintage jewelry, sparkling diamonds and sapphires in settings so intricate they seemed almost too perfect to touch. She gently ran her fingers over the glass, studying the pieces, but still, no one approached her. No one even seemed to notice she was there. Her gaze swept over the store, seeking even the faintest acknowledgement, but the staff was preoccupied with other customers. She wasn't the only one in the store. There were others, well-dressed, much like herself, but there was a stark contrast in how they were being treated. A woman with impeccable style, a well-known influencer, was being lavished with attention. Her every word was met with a nod, a helpful suggestion, a smile that seemed to say, "We are honored to serve you." Another woman, clearly a member of the high society elite, was being escorted to a private fitting room, her every whim anticipated before she even voiced it. But Oprah, she was invisible. It was as though she had become a ghost in the very place that should have made her feel like royalty. She tried to remain composed. She wasn't the type to make a scene, but the longer she stood there, the more the disrespect strung. She had earned her place in the world through decades of hard work, integrity, and a determination to never be overlooked. She built a global empire from the ground up, and now, standing in this high-end store, she was being treated like an afterthought. She was being ignored. After what felt like an eternity of wandering, Oprah found herself in front of a striking display of silk scarves and cashmere shawls, delicately folded, their softness almost tangible. She reached out and touched one of them, running her fingers across the fabric. But once again, no one came to assist her. It wasn't the lack of assistance that troubled her most. It was the way the silence seemed to reverberate around her, like a sign of something deeper, a sign that her value wasn't even worth acknowledging. Finally, she approached a young saleswoman who was swiftly organizing a display of handbags. Oprah stood in front of her, patiently waiting for the girl to notice her presence. The saleswoman moved past her, her eyes darting elsewhere, completely oblivious. "Excuse me," Oprah said, her voice calm but firm. "Could you tell me more about this scarf here?" The saleswoman barely glanced at Oprah. Sure, I'll be right back," she mumbled, turning on her heels and disappearing into the back of the store without a second thought. Oprah stood there trying to process what had just happened. She felt a wave of disappointment flood over her. This wasn't just bad customer service, this was disrespect. She was a person who had fought for equality and fairness all her life, both in front of the camera and behind the scenes. She had been a beacon of hope for many, using her voice to elevate the unheard and the marginalized. And now, here she was, in the same city where she had once hosted her groundbreaking shows, being treated like she didn't even exist. She wasn't angry, she was just disappointed. She could feel the frustration bubbling beneath the surface, but she kept it in check. She had learned long ago that dignity was something you held on to, no matter the circumstance. But this was different. As Oprah turned to leave, her mind raced. She wasn't sure if the staff even realized who they had just ignored. Oprah wasn't just any other customer, she was Oprah Winfrey, a global icon, a leader, a voice for millions. But here in this store, she was just another woman, unimportant, invisible. She had made up her mind. It was time to leave. She wasn't going to waste another minute in a place that didn't value her, but as she moved toward the exit, a voice called out from behind her. "Ms. Winfrey." She turned. It was the store manager, Peter Lockwood, a man in his mid-40s who seemed to have just stepped out of a corporate boardroom. His face was flushed with urgency, and there was an unmistakable tone of concern in his voice. He stood a few feet away, visibly nervous, his posture stiff, as if unsure of how to approach her. "Ms. Winfrey," he said again, stepping closer, "I'm so sorry to interrupt, but Oprah's brow furrowed, a mixture of curiosity and caution flooding her senses. "What is this about?" she asked, her tone calm but guarded. Peter took a deep breath, his eyes flickering with what Oprah immediately recognized as genuine remorse. "I've just been informed about what happened here today, the way you were treated." He paused, swallowing hard. "I want to personally apologize, and I'd like to make it right. This is not how we operate here, and it's certainly not the kind of experience we want anyone, especially you, to have." Oprah studied his face for a moment. She was wary, not one to forgive easily, especially when it came to matters of respect. "You think an apology is enough?" Peter hesitated, then nodded. "No, it's not enough, but we want to show you that we value you. I want to offer you a private shopping experience, a chance to select the items you truly deserve, with no interruptions. You deserve better than this. Please, let me make this right." Oprah looked him over. She was tempted to decline and walk out, but there was something in his voice, the sincerity in his eyes, that made her reconsider. "All right," she said, her voice steady, "I'll come back, but know this, respect cannot be bought with a discount or a gift. It's earned, and it's something that can't be taken lightly." An hour later, Oprah returned to the store. The transformation was immediate. The staff, who had barely acknowledged her earlier, now greeted her with smiles and warmth, their actions genuine. Peter himself was there, waiting for her with an even more sincere apology. "Ms. Winfrey," he said, his voice earnest, "we want to show you our appreciation. We've curated some pieces just for you. Please, let us help you make this experience unforgettable." As Oprah walked through the store, she was led into a private room where the finest clothing and accessories were waiting for her. The staff had gone above and beyond, pulling out every piece they could think of that would be perfect for her. Peter handed her a small box, and as she opened it, she found a delicate gold bracelet engraved with the words, "Respect is earned." Oprah smiled softly, the warmth of the gesture finally sinking in. She had always known the power of respect, how it could change lives, shape decisions, and create lasting relationships. She glanced at Peter. "Thank you," she said, her voice soft but firm. "But remember this, true respect is not about gifts or apologies, it's about understanding and acknowledgement. That's what truly matters." As Oprah left the store, the weight of the experience lingered with her. It wasn't just about a luxury shopping experience. It was about the fight for dignity, for being treated as an equal, for demanding respect in every space she entered. And as she stepped into her car, she knew one thing for certain. The world had a long way to go, but she would continue to lead the way. What do you think? Have you ever experienced a moment where you were treated unfairly, only to have your worth recognized later? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Let's keep the conversation going. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories that challenge the norms and elevate respect.